After that race in Canada, where I'm still not sure if it was a super banging race or just one of those that have a moment and nothing else, we head back to Europe because of carbon zero plans that are not flawed whatsoever, and we now have the Austrian Grand Prix. The Austrian Grand Prix is one I'm sure many of us F1 fans always anticipate every year because of the prior races here. It doesn't matter what era Formula 1 is in, for some reason this track just has all the sauce for every car, since you go back to his very first race back on the calendar in 2014, and it was a good race. Same with the race like 2019 or perhaps even 2022. While the races I just mentioned weren't exactly the best in each season, they were still entertaining enough for us to remember. Another thing this track has going for it is that this is Red Bull's home race, since the company was created in Austria, and you know, the freaking track is called the Red Bull Ring. Red Bull always loved cooking up a storm around here, since some of Max's best wins come at this very circuit. And with Red Bull and Max on the back foot right now, could this be the race where they redeem themselves and head straight back up to the front? Or are they well and truly cooked? Who knows? Speaking of cooked, I think everyone is cooked, since McLaren are burning right now, Mercedes only perform in the cold, Red Bull have sex offenders and racists leading them, motherfreaking Ferrari. Like, I'll be the one to say it, guys, no team deserves a title this year. Everyone has some sort of problem that just cannot be solved this year, which leads to all the teams somehow failing upwards. I for one am loving it though, since it breeds chaos, and so does this track, which can hopefully lead to a banging race. We've had many chaotic moments here, such as literally last year with Lando and Max colliding out of boredom, 2022 with Ferrari on fire with Charles and Carlos, and 2019 with Max and Charles putting up a show for all of us. So we could be in for a good one here, guys. So let us list any potential upgrades coming for the teams, the drama and the stories from the weekend prior, the ones to keep an eye on for, and of course, my weekend predictions that are more like a prophecy. So go subscribe if you're new if you drink Red Bull, and here is the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix weekend preview.
See those clouds up in the corner? That's where the rain is coming from.
As always, upgrades first, and considering we are back in Europe, we can expect many teams to start bringing their upgrades again. And with this also being fully in the midpoint of the season, teams are going to start moving either up or down the grid due to certain teams bringing constant upgrades or extremely effective upgrades. Finally, this track has a great blend of medium to high-speed corners as well as long straights, which would be a great basis for most teams on their car, and of course, for the next race in Silverstone, which includes mostly the same things as here. But as always, take everything I say with a grain of salt, since I could get these things wrong. After all, I'm just a guy in his room, not an engineer or an aspiring one, so show me mercy. Anyways, let us begin with Sauber, whose strategy of bringing in constant upgrades race after race is actually paying off now. For the first time since 2022 maybe, Sauber have scored back-to-back points, and they're in great positions too with a P5 and P8. Hulkenberg has been really stellar lately, and if history is anything to go by, this weekend shouldn't be any difference, as he has a knack for this track. Same with his teammate Gabriel Bortoleto, since last year he won the feature race and showed tremendous pace. Plus, with Gabby getting more accustomed to the car, the only thing really holding him back are the atrocious strategies he gets. Let's hope it's different here so he and Nico can cook masterfully. Next up is Racing Bulls, who I seriously give up on assessing where they are. I think they're decently fast, with their borderline offensive strategies being their downfall, but I don't know. Anyways, they're due for some nice upgrades to their car, which should come here or definitely by next week in Silverstone. As we all know, Isaac Hadjar has been Hadjaring it this year and going head to head with Kimi for being the best rookie of the year, so to say he deserves a better car is like saying we deserve to eat and drink water. However, of course, there are dickheads to oppose. And regarding Liam, anyways, Racing Bulls should bring upgrades here, so let us hope and pray that Hadjar does great around here and Liam drives the car. Next up is Haas, who are the literal definition of failing upwards. Every single race weekend, these guys qualify in the back of the grid and are down and out for points, and then the race finishes the next day, and somehow when you check the results, they're like one position away from points or did score points. Their strategy team has been absolutely on it this year, which is a shame given how slow their car is. I mean, it's not a hog, but it's not a stunner either. If they could just find that extra tenth or two, they could be leaders in the midfield, also thanks to their brilliant drivers. So please, Haas, all I'm begging for you is that you guys remember who you are and start performing very soon. Now for the top dogs, and I start with Red Bull. Red Bull are for sure going to bring upgrades here or next week. It's only a matter of when, and I personally believe it will be here. Red Bull needs to perform soon, man. Their title depends on it. They sit fourth in the standings somehow behind Ferrari and are just losing it, man. I mean, Max still has it, but no one else does at that team, and it's a big shame. If Red Bull can support their upgrade package that made the car easier in the setup window in Imola with an actual good performance update, man will they cook. Max already makes up such a huge difference in that car, and who knows what even just several hundredths can do for this team. So quit disappointing us, Red Bull, and start performing, please, so we can stop seeing the McLaren guys try so hard to bottle. Next up is Ferrari, who recently announced they'll be on an aggressive development plan soon. These next few upgrades for us have to be huge, since according to some top guys, depending on how we improve, stagnate, or worsen, could dictate how we do for next year's regs. You know, I would like to say something like pressure, what pressure, but man, I feel so pessimistic. Part of me really feels like we're just gonna stagnate and maybe just marginally improve, which still sucks. The cycle of depression seems to be continuing, but let us hope. Let us hope. Finally, I have McLaren here, who may be on the back foot. By back foot, I mean by like 1 inch, but still. Canada was their weakest weekend by a long shot, and just a minor upgrade could put them back in the front, so let us see how they do. What else do you want me to say? It's McLaren. Now we have the drama from the weekend, and it's really less drama and more stories, but oh well. The only real drama is the stuff with Lando and his Canada shenanigans. So refresher guys, it's lap 67 and Lando is right on the back of Pastry, edging him. Pause. He sends a dive bomb that I think was cool, but Piastri gets him on the exit, and as they exit the final chicane, Piastri, being the driver he is, covers the inside to defend his position, and Lando, seeing that, decides instead of going to the acres of space to the right of Pastry, he wants to go for the tiny ass gap to the left of him like that one guy from Madagascar 3, and obviously fails and crashes with Pastry. The only good thing to come out of this was Lando immediately taking responsibility and admitting he was an idiot, but see, that's what pisses me off about him. If you know you have flaws, great, we should all acknowledge that. However, he's taking little to no action about resolving them. And you know, maybe he is, but he just doesn't have the correct help he needs, which is why he still has these moments. Maybe he just needs better sports psychologists or trainers. Hell, maybe Nico Rosberg was a solution, since for those who don't know, Rosberg wanted to mentor Lando or something along those lines, but Lando declined. Whatever it is, he needs to find a fix soon, since Pastry will win the title before him, despite Oscar having less than half the experience that Lando does, and there's no one else to blame but himself. I have no clue what has happened to Lando, but the driver we saw at the end of 2023 is not the driver we are seeing right now, and I just hope for entertainment's sakes at least that he improves and finds his footing again. We can hate watch all we want, but this is just getting sad to watch, so let's hope he improves soon. Next up, we have the F1 movie releasing this week. Personally, I am pretty excited to watch the film, since never did I think a sport like F1, or any motorsport for that fact, would get a semi-realistic movie with top-level directors and actors. Now, obviously, there have been other motorsport movies like Rush, but that's more of a Hollywood retelling. I am excited to see a fictional story that uses more real aspects of F1, and key word, by the way, is fictional, since no shit, the movie's not going to be 100% realistic. Obviously, they Hollywoodified some things, but that's quite literally no big deal. If you're genuinely going to hate watch a movie or hate it without even seeing it because it's not 100% true to F1, I'm sorry, but you're so boringly lame. Just have fun and appreciate your sports getting some recognition, man. I get it if you have negative opinions, like you were simply uninterested, or you don't like how the movie looks in the coloring department, or more critically, you don't like how the women staff and women in general appear to be portrayed, which is something I heavily criticize myself. Those are very real and valid complaints to not see the movie, but if you hate this movie for no other reason than you wanted to gatekeep or wanting a full 100% adaptation, which you know is not possible, then I have nothing to say to you other than learn to have a bit of fun sometimes. Finally, I have McLaren again, this time for something else though, since in anticipation for the F1 movie, the McLaren team have allowed Brad Pitt to run in their 2023 car in Coda to actually drive a real F1 car. I think that's pretty cool, since he deserves it after filming for like 2 years. So yeah, wholesome story. However, in a not so wholesome story, there were other rumors with McLaren, like how Donald Trump was going to drive a McLaren car as well. And other than the problems around him, like the many controversial policy decisions, horrible international affairs, and how he very likely wouldn't even fit in the car, why would McLaren even do this in the first place? Like, I know these rumors were debunked, but still, they probably know how their fan base would have reacted to a move like this, so why do something like this in the first place? Instead of Trump, why don't you put somebody like Grosjean in there, who has been waiting for 4 years now to get a drive in a Mercedes car? Sure, it's not a Mercedes, but it still has the same engine, plus the poor guy blew up in his car and was promised a Merc test that never came, so go make his wish, McLaren. Now for the ones to watch in the weekend, and very obviously, I think we should watch Red Bull here. This is for a variety of reasons, such as, again, this is their home track, but also because they usually build really well around here. However, the biggest reason I have them here is because of their title hopes, since with McLaren running away even faster, Red Bull seriously have to get back up, or else their title will be gone for not only the team, but for Max as well, so let us see how they do here. Alright, with everything talked about and now out the way, it is time for what you probably skipped here for predictions times for the Austria weekend. As always, must be stated that we will predict 3 things: top 5 in the quali, the top 5 in the race, and a random prediction from any session. It should also be noted that these predictions are based on nothing but pure vibes, so bear with me. No sprints for this weekend since 2022, so let us begin with the quali predictions, and I predict that the top 5 on Saturday, starting with 5th, will be Fernando Alonso, 4th will be Charles Leclerc, and 3rd will be Max Verstappen, and 2nd will be Lando Norris, and for pole position I have Oscar Piastri by 0.04 of a second. Now for the race predictions, and starting with 5th I have Yuki Tsunoda, and 4th I have Charles Leclerc, and 3rd I have Oscar Piastri, and 2nd I have Lando Norris, and the winner of the Austrian Grand Prix is Max Verstappen, who continues to dominate at this track. Time for my random prediction, and I think in the race, there'll be 2 safety cars, with one being thanks to the midfield battles, and the other being due to an engine DNF but parked in a tricky spot. And also make sure to join my Discord to make your predictions for the weekend and have a chance to appear in the winners and losers video. And that was my weekend preview for the Austria weekend. Overall, I'm expecting a very chaotic weekend like usual around here, and potentially the best race of the season. Things are very tight and heating up right now, and I just can't possibly see a reality where this race is boring and uneventful. But hey, this season has been strange since tracks like Imola and Miami, which are usually bad, produce decent races, so let us see. Anyways, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the flock for their continued support, and make sure to join if you want cool benefits as well as just helping me out. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since it really helps me out. Make sure to let me know in the comments what your predictions are, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.